After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, he said, "I'm pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter."
He just came in and was like, all right, enough, cut it out. I'm from Pakistan. We made India go running to USA in 12 hours. Oh, man. If the nuclear threat is terrifying, at least we can have some funny memes along the way. You know what I mean? Pakistan.
Pakistani missiles
Zindabad.
fired towards India. Soldiers cheer. But this has been the most worrying eruption of violence in South Asia in decades. Pakistan released footage of its jets targeting, it said, Indian air bases in retaliation for earlier Indian strikes on its territory.
Bro, Pakistan only achieved victory in this because Turkey was backing it, okay? We are at the table. Just kidding. We are the table. Once again, Turkey is the table. You understand? Important, is India still lying too? Yes, India is still lying as well. Yeah, also, India knows Turkey's at the table. That's why they said, we will nuke the table if need be. Modi got nothing against the Pakistan. The slow motion cat acrobatics is crazy. This is wild. I'm not following. Can you explain? Pakistan. Get it? Like the cat's paw? What can't you understand? Pakistan is Turk. Why else would they have Stan in their name? Okay, but we also say Hindustan in Turkish. So India technically also is a Stan country in Turkish.
In Jammu.
Was the cat with the two lightsabers real? I think so. Yeah. No, all of the videos that we just watched were real. Like all of them, every single one.
Indian administered Kashmir. Officials say 5 people were killed. There were deaths too on the Pakistani-controlled side of the disputed territory. And this was an Indian missile targeting the Pakistani Noor Khan airbase in Rawalpindi last night. Today, both sides have been making claim and counterclaim about the level of damage they've managed to inflict on each other's military. As residents on both sides of the border collected the remnants of drones and missiles, officials signalled they were looking to de-escalate. With diplomatic efforts intensifying, President Trump was the first to announce a ceasefire, followed by the Pakistani and Indian governments. Well, this ceasefire...
This is so funny because, like, anytime anything happens, half of the chat is saying Pakistan violated the ceasefire, look it up. Or India broke the ceasefire just now, look it up. It seems to me like you can't have a ceasefire if both sides are not interested in ceasing fire. There has been a possible violation of ceasefire today. India has claimed it. Pakistan has denied it. India's press briefing has called for a de-escalation, and the bilateral talks scheduled for 12th of May have not yet been called off yet. If the talks are called off, we will have reason to worry.
India will believe that they have sent a strong signal to Pakistan that any militant attacks in India will be treated, in Kashmir I should say, will be treated as effectively an act of war and responded to in this very aggressive fashion. Pakistan will believe that they've established a strong deterrent deterrence to what it sees as unwarranted Indian aggression. I think one real danger is that even if this ceasefire holds, a new baseline for the level of attacks the countries are willing to carry out against each other has now been set. And that means that any leaders in a future flare-up would find it very difficult to do less than what we've already witnessed.
Just before we came on air, I spoke to Dr. Mohammed Faisal, Pakistan's High Commissioner to the UK, and began by asking, with reports of attacks in Kashmir, whether this ceasefire was dead on arrival.
I'm not sure. I haven't verified the information. There is some news coming in. I saw it on the social media just before coming into this interview. But detail, I would definitely want us to wait before we have some authentic information on both sides, because the ceasefire is quite precious and it has been arrived at after a lot of effort.
Would you condemn any militant attack in Kashmir?
It is a presumptuous question. If it happens, we can take it to there. If it is a pure terrorist attack, we have always condemned it. Pakistan condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations and has done so for the last 30 years.
Presumably you'd call on both sides to keep this ceasefire and for proper peace talks to take place.
Yes. Pakistan wants it to continue and for peace talks to take place, to go to the bottom of the problem. Whether we like it or not, the bottom of the problem is not just terrorism. It is the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, which is there for 78 years, and it has to be resolved as per the UN Security Council resolutions, which India, of course, agreed to and Pakistan agreed to. 78 years have passed, and a democratic solution in which you ask the people of Jammu and Kashmir is not happening. That is the root cause. And if we address the root cause, the rest of the problems will automatically resolve.
Let's talk about what prompted this latest round of violence between India and Pakistan. And of course, Pakistan denies involvement in last month's terrorist attacks. But would you accept that your country needs to do more to tackle terrorism in its midst?
Terrorism is a problem that has plagued the region. Pakistan is one of the biggest victims. You would remember on 25th of March this year, a whole train was hijacked, which is stuff for novels and films. And our forces had to fight and get it released. And I can quote hundreds of incidents, including the Samjhauta Express train, which was attacked. And there are serious allegations on India that they were involved in the train attack. So, of course, problems are there. But we have to, see it in a larger perspective. For Pahalgam, an international inquiry can look into it and ascertain the facts, and we can move forward. Otherwise, it's counter allegations, counter allegations. How do we move forward?
Well, let me give you another example, and that's Masood Azhar, who's founder of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Wasn't India entitled to attack a terrorist camp run by that group? India targeted a terrorist camp run by that group. They were entitled to do so, weren't they?
No, nobody is entitled to be judged. Would you let somebody target a camp in Britain? No, nobody can. You can't be judge, jury and executioner. You have to verify it. There are police, there is a judicial system, there is an first information report. Do you want countries to start doing that? In Europe also, that if
he ain't wrong.
They feel that there is something and they're going to attack. And by the way, the Indians targeted 3 mosques.
That is heavily disputed.
And we deny that.
Let me just pick you up on Jaish-e-Mohammed.
This is important. Sorry, this is important. They deny it. Fine. Then let's have the international inquiry. Why are they shirking from the inquiry? If they are so sure that Pakistan is doing it, let an independent inquiry happen and let them verify.
But I also wonder if you accept that you should do more to tackle people like Masood Azhar, who, when the camp was attacked, he put out a statement saying 14 of his family members were killed. And
he did not. This is all propaganda. There is no such statement. There is no such verification. Please do verify the facts.
Also, that's his family members. It ain't him. That makes no sense. Like, even if they literally killed the dude's family members, okay, that makes no sense.
Before you move forward into it, there is a lot of propaganda coming out of India.
From both sides.
It has to be verified, as I said.
And there's a lot of misinformation from both sides.
We are open for an inquiry. Day before yesterday night, the Indians claimed that they had captured Lahore, they have captured Karachi, half of Pakistan is gone. My army chief has either resigned or Prime Minister has resigned or put under... This is the propaganda. This is day before yesterday. Where is the propaganda coming out of Pakistan that the Indian Prime Minister has resigned?
Okay, Dr. Mohammed Faisal, thank you very much for joining us.
India has accused Pakistan of violating the ceasefire deal just hours after it was announced. The internationally mediated agreement is meant to stop a dangerous escalation in fighting, which has killed more than 60 people since Wednesday. Explosions have been reported in several cities across Indian-administered Kashmir. India's Foreign Secretary has called on Pakistan to stop the violations and says Indian armed forces are responding. Pakistan hasn't yet commented.
There have been repeated violations of the understanding arrived at earlier this evening between the Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan. This is a breach of the understanding arrived at earlier today. The armed forces are giving an adequate and appropriate response to these violations, and we take very, very serious notice of these violations. We call upon Pakistan to take appropriate steps to address these violations and deal with the situation with seriousness and responsibility.
Let's bring in Kulsoom Sharif. She is joining us on the phone from New Delhi. It's not a good start to the ceasefire, Kulsoom, with the Foreign Secretary making that statement less than 6 hours after he announced a ceasefire.
Well, absolutely. Those celebrations that we were talking about, people welcoming the ceasefire, have been pretty much very short-lived. Right after that sudden announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump on Truth Social saying that India and Pakistan have agreed to a ceasefire, also congratulating the two countries for taking this step. We've heard of these explosions, particularly in Jammu and Srinagar. The Chief Minister, Omar Abdullah, took to Twitter saying that there are explosions. What happened to the ceasefire? And now India's top diplomat has said the armed forces have been holding a strong vigil and they've been asked to respond appropriately to the violations. Now, India is accusing Pakistan of causing these violations. But remember, for the people in the border areas, tonight then is no different from what has happened in the past couple of nights. And except that there was supposed to be a ceasefire in place.
And Kulsoom, it's a very confusing picture. What reactions are you seeing from India to these developments?
So when we were out and we were speaking to people about how they respond to this ceasefire, many of them were very happy and they thought it was the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that actually got the ceasefire in place. There are some others who are not happy that India did not take strong enough action, and there are others who said that finally peace should prevail, and they're happy. We spoke to some traders who are happy that it would be business as usual. People who, for all these airports that would have been shut until May 15, they're hoping they would open up. There was a sense of optimism, but also, I think, cautious optimism, because people were wondering whether the ceasefire will hold. And across the region, when we're talking about ceasefire, the first thing is celebration, and then people have doubts whether the ceasefire will really hold. So the official reaction is what we've got from India's top diplomat, and we've also had Chief Minister Omar Abdullah already saying that what happened to the ceasefire 6 hours after what it was supposed to be in place.
That is Kulsoom Sharif joining us on the phone from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Kulsoom. We're going to bring in Osama bin Javed. He's
Bro, I love you, man. Why are you so one-sided? By the way, India's planning to BDS Turkey tourism. This has been the major point of contention in my stream this morning. Tons of Indians coming into my chat saying Pakistan violated the ceasefire agreement.
Joining us live from
Indians, don't forget, I'm in America. Please don't BDS me.
Lahore, and I've seen over the last 2 hours or so conflicting reports on this from Pakistan. Osama, tell us what you're hearing.
Well, Elizabeth, as we were just discussing a couple of hours ago, that this is a precarious ceasefire. This is a ceasefire on a line of control which has been aflame for the last few days. So it will take time for it to take effect. And especially in the contested Kashmir region, where the postures has been declared to be on a standoffish position by both of the militaries, it will take time for them to climb down that ladder. So what we're seeing here is actually more or less the same which is being reported by local sources on both sides. We've been speaking to our correspondent Omar there, who's been reporting about what on the Indian side, villagers are reporting that there has been cross-border shelling from the Pakistani side. And here, we're hearing exactly the same.
You literally call billions of Indians fascists in your latest video. How do you get to play victim or racism card? What? When did I do that? I was joking when I said, Indians, remember, I'm an American, not Turkish. Don't BDS me. I wasn't being sincere. And no, I didn't say billions of Indians are fascist.
I apologize. We have lost our connection with our correspondent, Osama bin Javed, in Lahore, Pakistan. But just one bit of news from Pakistan. I believe we do have Osama. Osama, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, Osama, I was just about to say that we are seeing, it's being reported that Pakistan's information minister has told local media that as of now, there hasn't been any ceasefire violations.
The new drama bait talking point is that you call India a fascist terrorist state, so now you think they're all terrorists? No, I didn't even say that. I said any state that without... First of all, Modi is fascist. This isn't to like defend the Pakistan government at all. I'm not in the business of doing that. I feel like it's a pure expression of American interest in general, especially the Pakistani intelligence, which is, you know, a holdover for CIA activity in the region, many of which has contributed to terror in the region, as a matter of fact. Having said that, Modi is a fascist, like that 10 toes down. If you have issues with that, you can suck my dick, okay? I didn't say India is a fascist state. I said India is behaving like a rogue terrorist state. And that is also correct, because attacking another sovereign nation without evidence, without like clear-cut collaboration with said sovereign nation is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You can't do that. Like, America is the only country that does that, and Israel is the only country by extension of America that gets to do that, and they shouldn't do it either, and they are also rogue terrorist states for doing such things. You can't keep saying, no, it's not. Pakistan started it, bro. Pakistan started it. You can't say that. Pakistan is the one who killed 26 innocent people. Am I missing something here? Oh, yes. What you're missing is evidence. What you're missing is direct evidence, and also what you're missing is restraint. Evidence and restraint. Evidence and restraint. Post 9/11 in the United States of America, I mean, I was not here yet, but I would have called for the same exact restraint that I'm doing here. If tomorrow there was a massive terror attack in the United States of America, I would call for restraint. I would call for an investigation and restraint. You want to know why? Because I have a moral position on this that is universal. You feel me? Some of you don't see it that way, and it's all right. A day into the tit-for-tat bombing campaign cross-border, after India had not only hit into Pakistani-occupied Kashmir territory, but they were hitting inside of Pakistan in general. It was crazy, without any evidence whatsoever. And when asked, like, do you have any evidence that this was Pakistan caused, like the Pahalgam attack was born out of Pakistan, they were like, we don't need evidence. I've never seen anything like it. That's the only time I've heard that shit is from like America or Israel, you know? What is going on? Every country is doing this now. Like, my perspective on this matter is entirely around trying to restore some sense of normalcy and global order to conflict. I'm not even making any claims on one side or the other. Like, I'm not firmly on the Pakistani side nor the Indian one in this issue. I'm simply looking at the situation and saying, as an outsider, as an outside party going, this is fucked up. It is pretty messed up that two nuclear armed states can just engage in heated battle with one another like this. This is incredible to me. I feel like we are living in the post 9/11 world, but we're also living in the post October 7 world in a way where nation states are now just going to behave in a belligerent manner. We're living in the post Ukraine world too, where like Russia just also as a foreign adversary showed the world like, yeah, you don't got much motion, big bro. We do what we want to do. And, you know, there's not really anything you could do about it. It's a little bit terrifying, if I do say so myself. Like, America had an exit ramp. You're acting like an ignorant centrist right now? No, I'm not. I'm not acting like an ignorant centrist. America had an exit ramp to basically say, no, we got to restore, like, the global community's confidence in international rule-based orders. And they just botched it with Israel. They were like, no, you could do whatever you want. What do you mean? You're our ally. So now, get excited for more of these sorts of things happening all around the world. Very cool.
That's exactly what we were just discussing, that Pakistanis on this side of the border are saying that these border violations are happening by India, and Indian villages on the other side are saying it's happening because of Pakistan. And what we need to understand is that because there's forward postures that these positions have been taken, and there are areas, there are border posts across the line of control where there is a conflicting claim of ownership now, that Pakistanis are saying captured some posts, the Indians are saying they've captured some posts, and in the fog of war, it is unclear. So according to some officials that we've spoken to, they're telling us that it will take time and it will require patience on both sides. So Pakistan is adamant that it is not violating the ceasefire agreement. It is abiding by it. There is a Prime Minister's address that is due to take place sometime soon. And we're hearing from security officials that they want this to
BDS on Turkey because Turkish drones were found in Jammu and Kashmir on the Indian side. Yes, I know. Turkey is the drone kings. I know that. Also, what do you mean? They are literally the drone gods. Turkey with the Bayraktars, like they've been sending them to Ukraine. Yeah, they are at the table. I'll take it one step further. From what I understand, Erdogan continued shipping drones in the process. Who knew DJI was Turk? No. You got Chinese drones for sure. But in terms of warfare, in terms of combat drones, like Turkey's got some pretty solid combat drones that are very affordable. It's Chinese rockets and Turkish drones.
De-escalation, and if India carries out another aggression, they'll be ready to respond.
Osama bin Javed joining us with the latest live in Lahore. Thank you, Osama. Let's bring in Mike Hanna. He's live for us in Washington, D.C. And Mike, I haven't seen any reaction to these latest developments from the U.S. Are you hearing anything there?
No reaction as yet from any in the Trump administration. The president himself is out playing golf, as he does on Saturdays and Sundays. We heard earlier the vice president, J.D. Vance, also putting out messages on social media, congratulating the Trump team for achieving the ceasefire, as he puts it, and in particular the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who appears to be playing a major role in what the U.S. says are its ongoing mediation events. Interesting to note that Rubio, in his social message earlier announcing the ceasefire, said that he was going to get these leaders of the opposing sides together in longer-term negotiations.
You melted my brain. I watched your India-Pakistan VOD. My family has extensive military background. You framed that diplomat interview for me. I started thinking I agree with Hassan on everything. Then why am I getting charged up now? Then the Raphael thing came up. Then I remember the Wire Haaretz type, which is very, very good journalism site, getting blocked because of this. And now I'm in an existential crisis. Was I made a fool out of? And BLA isn't talked at all in India. When it comes to Kashmir, both sides want Kashmir, but no one wants the Kashmir. This is really sad. Everything would be dialed up to 11 again after this. It's so funny that we are literally the same people with the same bubble culture destroying our countries, and yet we're fighting each other. Thanks, Brits, Jinnah, and RSS. But I can still recognize the fact that no amount of providing proof will solve anything. We did it like last time. And Indians don't advocate for the child soldiers as second line of defense in their parliament, but who knows what shit our state is up to. But am I wrong in saying that Pakistan is a U.S. Dirty Works client terrorist state? No, you're not wrong for saying that. I've said that. Also, Dave said that. The Pakistani defense minister literally went on Sky News and was like, who do you think, whose dirty work do you think we've been doing for the past 30 years? No, I understand that. And I think like the fundamentalist elements eventually, as 9/11 has shown, get out of control. They get out of hand. They have a tendency to take matters in their own hands. But also, having said that, like, when it comes to the state level, when it comes to the way that states operate, like states have to demonstrate restraint. States have to behave in a restrained manner. What are we doing? I don't know. I don't know what to say about it that I haven't repeated over and over again over the past couple of days, where everyone just yells at me, but I'm like, dude, you can't just start bombing another country. Like, it's always wild when the response is like, well, what was India supposed to do? Like, they're terrorists, dude. They're all terrorists. It's like, well, not that, It's crazy. Just search up how many terrorist attacks have happened in India in connection to Pakistan in the past 30 years, and then tell me how we should have India reacted after the terror attack in India and Kashmir. I already told you, okay? I already told you. 1126 is a decent analog here for how India should have reacted, okay? You can't also constantly go, so many attacks of terror have happened and it's all Pakistan, and just be like, this one's definitely also directed by the state. Like, there is a difference between like militancy forming within your nation state boundaries versus directing said militancy to do an act of terror inside of Indian administered, Indian controlled, Indian occupied Kashmir territory, or Kashmir territory that is receiving Hindu tourists. Like these distinctions are important because unless you make this state connection, you can't, like, even after you make the state connection, you still can't attack like this. Hold on, I gotta get my food.
At a neutral site. Now, there hasn't been any further developments in that, but clearly the US, whatever its role in all of this, contemplating a longer-term negotiation process to attempt to look at the very root causes of this recurring conflict. But the events of the last hour or so, no reaction from the Trump administration at this particular point.
To the chatter who said, "You're getting roasted by Asmongold again, mate." I think more people should be embarrassed to say stuff like that. I just had a sit-down interview with the most popular left politician in France for an hour. I got roasted by the premier political commentator. Like, you should probably be embarrassed, you know, to get your nose from a dude who has a dead rat alarm clock. Guy who recently fell out of his room. Guy who recently fell out of his attic doesn't like my political perspective. Oh no, what will I do, man?
Well, let's bring in now Ajay Shukla, a writer at the Business Standard and a retired Indian Army colonel. Good to have you on the programme and to get your thoughts. Can we start with these explosions that have been heard? What are you hearing about that? Are you concerned that the ceasefire is broken down already?
No, I'm not concerned. I think that as the Pakistani Foreign Secretary just told you, it's a very loose arrangement, the border over there. There's firing going on most of the year round. And now that you have a ceasefire negotiated with the help of the Americans, the firing is not going to die down all in one sort of sharp movement. It'll drag on for a few days. It'll reduce. And if this ceasefire is to last, and I'm not saying that it will, but if it is to last, it will the ceasefire will be implemented slowly by slowly. And you will find a slow return to normalcy and then business as usual.
Okay, that's positive, at least. When it comes to the ceasefire itself, why do you think both sides have agreed now? What do you think changed?
Both sides have their, very strong domestic political imperatives that force the leaders to sort of take a harder line, take a sort of strong line of action, especially when the other side the Indian side doesn't differentiate too tightly between the Pakistani army and the Pakistani terrorists who the army sort of guides and trains and pushes into Kashmir. So with these two elements...
Dude, this guy's giving me OSINT reporting on why a nuclear nation that didn't even use the OSINT reporting to justify blowing up another nuclear nation. Thanks, man. He's like, I analyzed the bike tracks. India says they intercepted communication. Okay, listen, Hassan, just listen. And second point, you as an American have no idea what India's gone through because of jihadi Pakistan. You are just cloud chasing. First of all, why wouldn't I just immediately go, India lying too, sir? You're killing it, India. Keep blowing up those jihadi scumbags if I wanted to cloud chase. Like, why wouldn't I just say that? So I can be an adored figure on Indian Twitter. This isn't even a defense of Pakistan either. It's just a criticism of India's actions. But anything short of like full-throated support for India is seen as like a direct line of attack.
Coming in under the line of fire from the Indian side. There were air raids that were launched by the Indian Air Force. With them coming under fire, there becomes evident and imperative to sort of negotiate a ceasefire, to sort of bring some of the pressure down. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, of course, they deny that they're pushing the militant agenda, but they also have said that the 22nd of April attack was a false flag operation. What do you make of that?
Quite apart from the complete lack of ethics that such a accusation suggests, there is no reason at all for the Indian military or the even non-state actors to be guided by the Indian military to kill 26 tourists, all of whom the Indian side wants there because it suggests a return to normalcy. But why would they want to sort of debunk that whole sort of normalcy narrative? So the idea is outrageous that the Indian side has sort of staged a false flag operation, and certainly India was having none of it. This was the worst sort of terrorist outrage in several years. And you can't expect a strong, security-oriented army to accept this kind of outrage without hitting back, and that's what you had.
Pakistan is saying that they've offered an independent investigation into exactly what happened on the 22nd of April by a third party, if necessary, a neutral organisation. But India don't want that. They've refused that.
There is really no need for India to sort of accept a third-party negotiation. Pakistan has, since 1947, been trying to internationalize the Kashmir dispute, to bring in sort of monitors and sort of soldiers of one kind or the other, so that the whole dispute is cast into a sort of an internationalist murk. But India is not going to agree to that. Quite apart from anything else, it runs counter to many decades of firmly entrenched policy. And Pakistan has simply got no right to demand.
What about?
Never mind. My bad, bro. That's what the good guys say famously. That's a crazy thing to say. This is what I mean, chatters. Like, I'm sorry. This is like, I'm not in the business of shitting on India. I know everyone's gonna I know that the internet is an incredibly hostile space for Indians in general. I have long talked about the unimaginable amount of hate that Indians face online. I've spoken out against it over and over again. But I'm sorry, when you got actual government officials, but this guy's a former general, but or a former Indian Army colonel, but you have actual current Indian government officials channeling this kind of statement. It blows my mind. Not exactly giving me confidence as being good guys on this conflict.
People of Kashmir to decide for themselves then. What about this idea of a referendum?
Well, the idea of a referendum, as you sort of discussed with, I think, the Pak Foreign Secretary, is that the UN already has a proposal for a referendum. The Kashmir dispute is supposed to be sort of resolved on the basis of this referendum, but the preconditions for the referendum.
Why are you calling India as genocide country? This is the funniest thing, dude. It's like fourth-hand account information from dudes who have no idea what I even said. India is, when have I said India is genocide country? What is going on? Unless you're talking about Sri Lanka. Okay, that was a stupid question. I know where people are coming from that are saying that. I meant like where are you getting this information from? Calm down, dude. Calling India dirty and shit. Chill out.
Something that Pakistan has resolutely sort of debunked.
The UN High Commissioner told me that they would be prepared to withdraw their military before a referendum took place. Do you not believe them?
The Pakistan army?
Yeah, the Pakistan military said that they would be prepared to withdraw if there was going to be a referendum in Kashmir.
They have never given any indication of.
In your video, you were talking about how white supremacist countries don't treat India seriously, a country with over 1 billion people that has a growing fascist movement, and that movement intensifies and unifies when attacked. Yeah, I did say that. I was right to say that. And it's genuinely terrifying. And I wish more people were paying attention.
On the ground of being willing to withdraw. India has pointed this out several times in the past. In fact, whenever this issue comes up for discussion, but Pakistan, while paying lip service to the concept of a referendum, does nothing at all on ground to make it so.
Okay, well, let's keep our fingers crossed that this ceasefire does indeed hold and talks can take place. Ajay Shukla, Business Standard writer, retired colonel from the Indian Army. Thank you very much.
That was crazy.
Thank you very much.
I guess this is the Indian version of when Israel says UN is Hamas. We can't have third-party investigations. That's wild. Also, one of my other favorite things has been in this conflict, coming in here and being like, dude, read Fayed Souza on Instagram, or listen to Shashi Tahrir's interview on Al Arabiya. Like, I don't, dude, stop. Why are so many of, where are you coming from? Where are you all coming from? Pakistan is not the same as Palestine. If you support Pakistan, you support terrorism, except the civilians. The Pakistani military supports terrorism. Their government supports terrorism. And housed LET and MVP and OBL. MVP, OBL. I said MVP. Lamau, look at the Pakistani government has responded to the allegations. It's pathetic, says Sassy Indian. Keep up that sass, baby. I'm with you.